Okay, so we're all talking about clean energy constantly. But today, let's get into the one concept that's really going to define whether it succeeds or fails. We're going to look at how a circular economy isn't just some nice to have idea, it's actually the essential blueprint for our entire energy security. You know the drill: wind, solar, electric vehicles. We see them as the heroes, right? The key to a sustainable planet. But what if I told you that the very foundation of this whole green revolution has a critical, hidden weakness? A vulnerability that, if we ignore it, could put the entire transition at risk. And this leads us right to what's called the clean energy paradox. It's this fundamental contradiction in how we're building the future, and we absolutely have to get our heads around it before we can even hope to solve it. Think of this as the shopping list for building our green future. Every single EV battery is packed with lithium. Those high-performance motors, they need cobalt. And rare earth elements, they're absolutely essential for the powerful magnets inside both EVs and wind turbines. And a little fun fact here, they aren't actually all that rare. They're just incredibly difficult and messy to mine and process. So these aren't just items on a list. They are the finite physical building blocks of our clean energy world. So here's the problem. Our entire manufacturing system, and that includes all this new green tech, is built on a relentlessly linear model. We dig resources out of the ground, we make something cool, and then, when it's at the end of its life, we just throw it away. Take, make, dispose. It's a one-way street, and the destination is resource depletion. The huge difference here is all in the thinking. You see, the linear model obsesses over how a product performs while you're using it. Is the car fast? Does the turbine spin well? But a circular model, that asks a much bigger, much smarter question. How does the entire system perform? What happens to that car, to that turbine blade, after its first life is over? And believe me, that shift in focus changes everything. So if the linear model is basically a dead end, what's the alternative? How do we actually go about redesigning the entire system from the ground up? This is it. This is the answer. A circular economy isn't just about recycling a bit more. No, it's a completely different economic framework. It's an intentional system designed from the very beginning to be restorative and regenerative. The whole goal is to create a closed loop where basically nothing is ever wasted. And it all really boils down to these three simple but really powerful principles. First, you design things from day one so that waste is never even an option. Second, you create these clever pathways to keep products and materials in circulation, in use, for as long as humanly possible. And third, you actively work to improve the environment, not just take from it. All right, so that's the theory, but what does this actually look like when you apply it to the clean energy tech that we're all so excited about? Let's get practical here. Okay, let's take an electric vehicle battery. The linear path is, well, it's tragically simple. It ends up as toxic waste in a landfill. But the circular path, now this is where it gets genius. After its life in a car is done, that same battery can be repurposed for something like grid-scale energy storage. And after that, its valuable materials can be meticulously recycled and put right back into a brand new battery. And this is the number that should really make you stop and think. With the technology we have today, we can recover up to 95% of the critical materials, the lithium, the cobalt, the nickel, from a used EV battery. 95%. We literally have urban mines sitting in our garages and our scrapyards right now. And the same logic applies to wind turbines. Right now, thousands of those gigantic blades, some of them are longer than a 747 wing, they're being sawed up and just buried in landfills because they're hard to recycle. But in a circular model, they're designed from day one to be refurbished, with components that can be reused and blade materials that can be transformed into totally new products. So the benefits here are just crystal clear. We become way less dependent on digging new holes in the planet. We slash the massive carbon footprint that comes from manufacturing. We create a whole new sector of high-skilled jobs in repair and recycling. And by creating this steady supply of recycled materials, we stabilize and ultimately lower the costs for everybody. And this brings us to the final and, maybe the most critical point of all. This isn't just an environmental strategy, it's not just an economic strategy, it is a blueprint for national and even global security. Just look at this comparison. In the linear model, a country can be dangerously dependent on just a few other places for these critical minerals. This makes them really vulnerable to sudden price spikes, or maybe unstable international relations that could just cut off the supply overnight. But in a circular model, you create your own domestic supply chain from your own waste stream. You are literally recovering strategic assets from within your own borders. That's how you build true resilience. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? We have to stop thinking about this as just a better way to manage our trash. It's a strategic plan. It is a deliberate design for a future that's not only cleaner, but also far more stable and self-sufficient. So if there's one thing you walk away with, it's this profound shift in perspective. You see, true progress in the 21st century won't just be measured by the amount of clean energy we can produce. It's going to be measured by our intelligence and our discipline in preserving, recovering, and reusing the incredible resources we already have. And so that leaves us with the big question. We have the blueprint. We know the benefits. So what's stopping us? What policies, what innovations, what collective will do we need to turn this intelligent, secure, circular vision into our global reality? That, right there, is the challenge ahead of us.